This short video is brought to you by EdTech Recharge.
And I'm hoping the question you're asking now is not necessarily what is research or what kind of research do I need, but starting to think ahead to be how do you get started with research? My goal, my ultimate dream would be where every EdTech person has their in-house team that's capable of conducting robust research and informing their product. That's also part of the reason why at EdTech Recharge, we not only conduct research, but are more than happy to provide consulting and professional development for your research teams to develop their own capacities. So how do you get started on research? It could take you 6 months to learn, it could take you a whole year. But here are the 5 key steps towards conducting your research. In fact, you've already started. The first one is to establish a super clear goal. Why are you conducting this research project? Is it to apply the findings? Is it to create knowledge? Are you going to apply the findings just this once, or are you thinking of creating a process that makes sure that the process works every time? The next step is breaking down into research questions. Now, these are 2 steps you've done in the last 15-20 minutes or so. But the remaining 3 steps are those that's going to perhaps take a lot longer. Your third step, once you've identified your research questions, is to ascertain your timeline. Especially when you're working with applied research, you may have a firm timeline on when you need it done. In addition to ascertaining your timeline, you also want to identify what's the budget you've marked for this. Your budget is also going to be associated with what the goal of the study is, if it's formative versus if it's summative. It's also related to your budget, and your timeline is also what are the available resources. Don't overlook people who've designed the product. Don't overlook people who manage the product. Sometimes research needs only a little bit of scaffolding and you can carry it on. Other times it's helpful to have someone who's trained to work through with you. So look at your resources. Identify your time, your budget, and your human power. Once we have all of our logistics done, then comes the fun part. Very simply, choose the design that works for you, typically between the 3 methodologies that we talked about, and then start executing it. When I say execute your method, you're basically working through your IRB, which is basically Institutional Review Board, which we have to apply for permission if we're planning to publicly share and disseminate the data that we collect. And let's say if it's for internal purposes, you don't need that IRB exemption or approval. Once you have that, you start designing all of your, you'll start your data collection, then your analysis, and the final step comes into analysis and communicating. The analysis and communication is also tied back to our goals. Depending on whether we're looking for efficacy research or we're looking at something more formative, what analysis we run, and more importantly, how we communicate the findings of that research is going to change. You can work through all of that yourself, and I do recommend you to do it if you have a research team in place who've done this before or who can work through it with a little bit of guidance, and we'd be absolutely happy to help you with that. Or if you're a small startup or you are a large company but don't really have a research team in place, feel welcome to reach out. We're happy to help you whenever we can.